Welcome to another episode of Growth Unfiltered. We have this unbelievable team that handles the eastern half of the United States. So we have all our team together today. Finally, it's been a while since we've all been together, guys. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to be seen after EXPCon, which was awesome, right?
Amazing.
So I think I'm still recovering from that. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if my head's been right since then. It's been spinning.
I think it's the Halloween candy you ate.
Okay, so my wife took the entire bowl away from me because I was, and I'm paying for it. But that's actually a good lead-in because we were talking about all the people. I think we had over 700 explorers at EXPCon this year, which is incredible. But the explorer, for those who are watching, is a guest who's not necessarily with EXP, but they're thinking about joining us and they want to learn a little bit about it. So, let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think? I think the landscape of has changed a lot in the last 2 or 3 years for people who are really trying to look at different companies now. What do you think? What do you think has changed? What do you think they're looking for? I'll start with you, Kel.
Well, that's a great question, and I'm finding that even if you've spoken to somebody a couple years ago, they're coming back now because they're like, hey, let's talk a little bit deeper. I think what they're really looking for is leadership. They're looking for leadership, and they're looking for leadership that's changing with the times. And we all know on this call that we are absolutely changing with the times, that some weeks, so many things come at us that are new that we can't quite keep up. So I feel like they're really looking for a strong foundation with leadership.
I think that's awesome insight because that you're right. And I think a lot of people feel like with the market changing and the climate changing, being a little bit different, how do I navigate through these waters? I think leadership's a big part of that. Absolutely, for sure. And then, Lisa, as you take that, we'll go to another step with that. How do you think leadership falls into culture, and how important is that, do you think, for people who are looking to possibly explore new opportunities?
Yeah, I think that that's good with the leadership point, Kelly, because I think what's happening is I think sometimes people thought EXP, and I have a really great story because on Friday I had an explorer. I ended up having a call with her, and one of the things was that EXP always seems so big, right? And it just seemed virtual. And she's from a brick and mortar in her hometown, and so she and been there her whole career, 10 years at the same brick and mortar. Right. And you kind of think that you have everything you need when you're in the safety of the roof and the walls. And EXP seemed, way too big and all that. Well, she came to EXPCon and she said, she goes, I don't think I slept a full night for 5 nights after EXPCon. She said, because my head was just spinning. And she said, I was so blown away by the leaders that spoke from the stage, right? And just how engaged and involved and what a pulse they had on the market of today, how to give resources to the agents, like to really be at the level of where we need things. And then she said, and then that, and just the energy and them sharing how it just opens up these, how did she even explain it? But this climate of collaboration that really starts at the top. When your leaders are so open about giving and pouring in and making sure everyone has what they need, that just filters down. And she said, everywhere I went, I got introduced and I was like, oh, well, you're in that market. I know these people, or I know this, or make sure you get into that. And she said, I've never been around so much amazing energy and collaboration. And I think it just starts with our leaders really setting the tone that way. And then it trickles down from there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty important that you said that. I've been to other companies, conventions. Actually, I was one with Kelly many years ago. I think a lot of people approach them at the other places, and I've been to 2 other companies. And the conventions were very much a different mindset where people are kind of going there for social reasons and just go have a really good time and great. I don't know if they were going there to really build something or take back action items with them. I feel like one of the biggest differences that I felt that I see at EXP is, it's not corporate up there. It's not us up there high-fiving each other and, celebrating, what we do. It's the agents up there celebrating what they do and opening their playbook for people to help them get better. And I think that's such a huge differentiator in this company and when it comes to culture and people getting better. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think you leave with EXPCon with a headache because you got too much stuff that you want to implement. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. It was cool
Crazy.
because she said she was so fired up and literally had just been like, no, thank you for so many years to EXP, and was just now kind of that phrase, now can't unsee it, right? Because she got to live it and experience it. So it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Now, Lee, you talked to a lot of everybody, the agents that are coming on and all this kind of stuff. Like, what's probably the most common hurdles that you're hearing, or hesitations that people are having as they're thinking about making that move?
They're afraid they're not going to have enough support. It's like Kelly was saying, they are more stuck on the brick and mortar, and they think we're too big and we can't help them, or they're not going to be able to reach somebody. And then when they realize how fast, like, I respond to them via email, or I'll call them even, they're surprised that I got back to them that fast, or they're surprised that I get them in touch with one of you that fast. They're surprised that leadership is available that fast.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point, because you're really the backbone of this team, and we come to you with all kinds of questions, and you need to reach out to people in all different directions. I mean, how quick is your response time from people that you need to reach out to typically?
It's pretty fast, actually. I can, even if somebody needs to talk to Leo, I can just send a message to his admin and she will get him really quick.
Yeah, and
So,
I think that's one of the big misconceptions here. You kind of led right into where I was trying to go. I think when we talked about how the landscape has changed, what do you guys think? I know when I was approached by EXP the first time, which was about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, and it just seemed new to me, and I really didn't understand the whole cloud-based thing. And I think that was a really big hiccup for a lot of people back then. I kind of feel like that's not as much of a hurdle to overcome as it used to be. I think people are starting to understand. I mean, Kel, what do you think on your conversations there? Are you still seeing people having that, well, I need an office?
Well, being in the Northeast, we do know that everybody is quite traditional here, right? So we always lead in with, hey, we are a cloud-based company. However, we have worked out a system that we do support you if you're coming over with a brick and mortar. But at the same time, by the time we're done, peeling back the layers and uncovering their pain and what they're really looking for, they're like, maybe I don't need a brick and mortar. And how many times have we seen people come over with one, and then within 9 months, they want to dismantle it? So, and I do want to piggyback on something that when Lisa was talking about her agents that are coming over, they were at EXPCon. I had a similar experience with, like Lee was saying, it's like too big. Everybody thinking that it's too big. And then we have to, break it down like one bite at a time. And I think too, a lot of people are looking at it maybe from a long time ago, back when you were first introduced to it, which I think I was the one that introduced you to it, Frank. And I was just like, we have to go. And from then to now, they're like, wow, they're still here. Like they're still here and they're stronger than ever. Let me revisit this. But the people, I had a couple different groups that were at EXPCon, and I sat with them on that last day, the day you were up there speaking, Frank. I sat with them on that last day. And when the agents came out and were talking about, yes, leadership, yes, they loved all the new technology and everything, but they were also talking about family and how everyone made them, and this is to piggyback on everything everyone said so far, but how everyone made them feel so welcomed in just the 3 days that they were there, more so than they've gotten the last year at their current brokerage. So, but the brick and mortar, some people really don't care about it. Some people feel like they have to have it. So, we're open to either.
Well, it's interesting when you hear that, because a lot of people still think we're a franchise. I'd say, well, I've seen EXP offices all over the place. How do you got? They're agent owned. They're not ours.
Yeah.
And so, yes, of course, they can still have that, which kind of leads me to my point. When you talked about being too big, I kind of think I'm going to throw a curveball. I kind of think the fact that we are cloud-based makes it smaller. And I actually think it makes it more intimate, because we have more connections and more conversations with people on a daily basis. I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about all the agents in a way, with their masterminds and all the different trainings and everything they go through. I mean, don't you feel that? Let me say this, and I'll lean on Lisa. Do you think agents are surprised by the amount of people that they do have interactions with on a daily basis and how small it actually does feel once you're here.
I absolutely do. And I think that so many times when people think they need an office or they're used to going to an office, it's because they feel like they're getting that interaction. And then when you talk to them about the office, they're like, well, I just go there to do this and leave. Or, sometimes I feel like, oh, I have to go there. It's like a burden rather than some fun connection kind of a thing. And then once you start talking about all of the different community, and to your point, Kelly, like we are one giant family at EXP, and then there's so many different communities within EXP. And it's like finding your interests, finding your lane, finding people that, share your interests, or when you want to learn more about this type of real estate or that. There's all these different, because so I always say, like, look at the big picture that's EXP, because that's all the values and resources and tools and training and everything that you could ever need, and you'll never outgrow the brokerage. But then take it a step further and say, where am I headed? What are my goals? Right? What are my interests? And through that lane, you're going to find the pieces in training or in tools or whatever that match that. But you're also going to find the community that matches that. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's, where do I want to go to? And then you can find the community that matches that and start getting engaged and involved. And I think when all that starts happening, you're like, this is a really big place. Big sheet of fabric, but it's all intertwined, and there's so much amazing connection here that we could never have if we weren't connected through this virtual platform.
Yeah, well, we were just on a call this morning with, we just brought over the #1 team in all of New England from a competing brokerage. It was very big. And when we were talking to him this morning, he's like, as big as it was over there, we were so disconnected. We're here because I feel like I've had more support here in the past month than I've had in the past 10 years. And it's unbelievable with the access that we have. So it kind of gets back to what Lee was saying. Lee, you talk about the support that we have, which is true. But you are so hyper-focused on that agent experience coming over, right? Because remember, when we were all real estate agents, we weren't worried about the customer experience. Now that in the role that we're in growth, we're worried about the agent experience. They are our customer now. And Lee, I know you're so hyper-focused on that. So what are maybe one or two things that you really make sure that you emphasize when you're trying to enhance that agent experience as they're coming over?
I try to emphasize that I'm available and in a way that they feel comfortable in communicating. I do have some agents that would prefer to text versus email or Slack, and whichever they choose, I'll communicate with them that way. And that way they get an answer faster, and then I can help them faster and they can move on faster, because they're busy. Their time is their money. So The faster we can get what they need, the faster they can get their answers, the faster they can move on.
Yeah, but I think
I know critical. A lot of them like that.
Yeah, but it's critical because in this, one of the misconceptions out there, one of the biggest misconceptions is that we are cloud-based. Therefore, you never can get a human being on the phone. Mm-hmm. Right? And what you just said is the complete opposite of that, right? And that is a point of emphasis for us when we're trying to talk to people. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I had one this morning that said she missed a Slack chat. And I said, well, I'll email you then. Is that what you want? You prefer email? That's what we'll do. We'll stick with email. I have another one that would just prefer to text. So we text. He doesn't like anything else. He said he didn't have time for that. So we'll just text and we'll get him taken care of.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's such an important thing to talk about because people come here and they're worried, right? Am I going to get the support? Where my brick and mortar right now, my broker's right, 2 doors down. Meanwhile, if the broker's on to something, you may not get an answer for hours. And I think right now, I think right, Kel? I think right now our national response time from our broker team is under 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about that. You're talking about, just domestically over 60,000 agents, and internationally over 80,000, but domestically to have response time in under 2 minutes. I mean, you talk about what Lee just said about being able to move on, but you don't get stuck in a transaction because you can't get something answered for 3 or 4 hours. That's unbelievable. I mean, Kelly and Lisa, you were both on the broker side. So, talk about a little bit about our brokers and, what their kind of their job description, because it's not your typical broker job description.
No, not at all. Do you want to take it, Kelly? You got I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead. So When I first came to EXP, I came over as a broker into the broker position, and I was so interested. I was like, okay, great. Let's see what this is about, because I had no idea coming over. And I wasn't in the position for very long before I said, if there's ever an agent that says they cannot get in touch with the broker team, they're just not paying attention, because you could get in touch with a broker anytime, any day, any weekend. And we have, I live in New Jersey. We have 5 brokers in New Jersey, including the designated managing broker. And you can get in touch with them via the text messaging, phone call, Slack, going into the world, email. There's more than 5 ways. There's multiple ways to get in touch with them. So the broker's job is really to do everything. It's super intense. They are involved. They know everything. They know everything from all of your transactions, your contracts, your, what you need. They just know everything about your business. And they're very, very heavily involved, and you can get in touch with a broker in no time. And everybody sometimes has their favorite broker, but also too, in each state, they assign brokers certain jobs, if you will, within the brokerage, so that everybody's laser focused on one thing. But the beautiful thing about the brokerage, and I'll let Lisa take over, but is that they're all well versed. They're all from different parts of the states. Yeah, they're all well versed in all of the MLSs. They're all well versed in the specialized way you do business in certain states, and they're also well versed in all the new laws and regulations as they're coming out.
Yeah, that's good. It's true. I think wearing a lot of hats, long days, being very busy are all very key components or descriptions. What I'll say, so I was at EXP for probably close to 7 years before I went into the broker role. And when I joined EXP, it was like, I did land and development. I'm not really realty. I'm not really commercial. We didn't have commercial. This is a great place to park my license. And I'll be honest on that, because I didn't really get too involved. I didn't really know what the tools were, the resources. To me, during those years, I thought I didn't care. Now, in hindsight, when I took on that managing broker role 7 years later, it was like a giant slap in the face in so many ways of just how many opportunities I missed out on by not being plugged in. And so one of the things is, everyone should realize is it's so important to be plugged in with your state and your broker team, because like Kelly said, they wear a lot of different hats and do a lot of different things. And you kind of just think of them as, making sure my file is good and, that I followed the rules. And that's really not even true. I mean, I can, speak here in North Carolina, and just the level that the broker in charge, managing brokers get involved in coaching and training and leading lunch and learns and business development. And let's do business planning for 2026. And it's not just me keeping you compliant. It's how can I help you grow? And that's such a difference that I didn't even ever realize, and that those tools existed all those years. So now I'm like, I want to make sure everybody knows to, go to your state meeting, see what's coming, look at that state calendar, see, because those managing brokers are pouring in on levels that, way exceed probably what would be what your typical job description duty would be, because they really want the agents in their state to succeed and know all those tools and resources that are available to them for success.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, look, everywhere I've been, a lot of times the brokers have worn a lot of hats, but hats that don't have to deal with broker issues. CE, sometimes they're recruiting. Sometimes they have to worry about paying the bills. Sometimes they have all these different jobs. And then a lot of them are selling, right? Because a lot of the broker salaries just, aren't sufficient enough. Some people are part-time brokers, part-time sales. So what happens if that person's out of the office for 3, 4, 5 hours? You can't get something resolved until possibly the next day. I love that our broker team is hyper-focused on the agents and the agents' needs only, which I think is phenomenal. And I think that's why they're so effective. And I agree with you. Maybe I'm biased, but I just think our brokers are the best. I think they're the best prepared brokers I've ever been around.
100%.
They can answer every question anytime. They know what up, down, sideways. And it's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So,
there's no sitting around in the broker team. They are busy.
Yeah. The same thing, Lee, when it comes back to like what your whole team does, right? Because there's, the growth support principle is a bunch of you now because we're so busy, right? But even the collaboration among you guys to make sure that everybody's being taken care of, that's a whole nother system behind the curtain that most people don't even know about.
Yeah. Yeah. We do communicate, and we communicate in a way that crosses state lines. So it doesn't matter what side of the country we're on. We help each other and help the agent no matter where they are. And sometimes that takes us going into the world to the broker teams. We talk to the broker teams a lot, no matter what state they're in, just to help the agents. I mean, we're not going in there to hang out. We're just going in to help the agents, see what they need.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, that's absolutely important. And the last thing I'm going to touch on, guys, today is I see in this climate and in this change, especially with the way that the market is right now and just the overall real estate environment. As a matter of fact, just our CEO was talking about how people are leaving the industry at a high rate. People aren't necessarily leaving their companies to join other companies. They're leaving their companies because they're leaving the business, which is wild, right? I see such a thirst for training. I'm 30 years in the business now, a little over 30 years. There were no such thing as training when I started. We didn't have MLSs, we didn't have computers, we didn't have cell phones. We had electricity, but we didn't have all the other stuff. So training was always so foreign to me because it just wasn't anything that was available. Don't you guys see now such a demand and how important that is in people's development? Like, that's a big part of conversations I'm having on a daily basis. Kel?
Absolutely. The agents are starving for it. And, we talked about leadership. We talked about collaboration. They're starving for the training. And the beautiful thing about real estate is that it can take you down so many different avenues. And we fortunately have all of those avenues covered. Like Lisa brought up the land and ranch. We have the luxury. We have just getting started. We have listings. We have working buyers. We have so much training. It can be overwhelming if you don't focus on just one thing. Like, what is going to get you a transaction today? And let's focus on that. But we have like 70 hours of live training each week that we bring to the agents.
Yeah. Lisa, what do you think?
No, I definitely agree with that. And I think the beauty as we have evolved and we've gotten more and more and more operationally sound on that back end to support our agents, we've also been able to increase the breadth of agents that we can reach. Because I remember when I first came, it was kind of like the new agent was going to really struggle here, right? You had to kind of pick an area, and it was, trained and on was sort of our sweet spot at that point. And now with FastCap and what we're doing for that brand new agent, we truly have the training and the resources and training available that's going to help that agent from just got their license, now what, all the way through the most seasoned agents and teams in the country are with us. So I love that our net is spread out, and we can capture all agents because we really are and want to continue to be the brokerage for all agents. And so it's been a really nice change, and definitely FastCap is a game changer for me in that. And also it's a game changer for all agents because trust me, I'm like Frank in the industry 28 years, and we need some resets too in our business, or we never were properly trained, or we developed bad habits along the way. So some of those things which seem like it might be for that brand new agent might also be for that seasoned agent that needs a reset or a change, how to keep up with today's climate too.
Yeah, 100%. And then, I think, when we get back to the cloud-based thing, and maybe it's too big, maybe it's too small. The one thing, my favorite thing probably about this company that I've never experienced anywhere before, and it has to do with the fact that we are cloud-based. Everyone here has a peer group. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a brand new agent or we have, teams that do over $1 billion a year in sales, everything in between. So I love the fact that there's always somebody here that's on your level or somebody just a little bit above, maybe that you want to go up a little bit higher. And I don't know that I've ever seen that before. Not like this. The fact that we're not a franchise, that we're one unit, we're one family, we're one brokerage. And the fact that people share back and forth to lift each other up is actually awesome. So I always kind of fold that into, yes, there's a training part of it, but the collaboration part of it is just massive. And all three of you have touched on different points today of different examples of collaboration. And it's such a big part of who we are. And I think that's really the secret sauce that lifts people up. It gets them to the level that they want to be. So I think it's pretty awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. That wraps up another episode of Growth Unfiltered. We're going to see you next week with a special guest. It's going to be a great time. Guys, any parting words? Kel, anything?
Have a great week, and thanks for showing up.
That's right.
Lisa.
Just keep being consistent, right? Consistency is key. So
love that. Lee?
Don't forget, you can reach us anytime, almost 24/7. I think 24/7.
Yeah. With Concierge Desk, it is. It's 24/7.
Mhm.
So, well, thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.